What's poppin'? It's Mello back at you with another video, and today what we're getting into is what I would like to call chord movement, or making melodies out of chords, or just animating chords, but just making the chords into a melody. That's the simplest way to put it. If you watch my video that I did over a year ago on piano melodies, you know I have the left hand right hand theory when you're programming melodies and stuff like that, because usually with a pianist, if you look, there's a lot of notes being played and stuff like that, and they don't just play the chords half the time. Sometimes that left hand is moving while the right hand is moving, so everything is moving. There's movement within the melody. So that's what we're gonna go over, ways that you can freak chords into melodies so that you can have something under the melody that you've created or the melody that you're about to create, or you can just use the chords as a melody. So be sure to put a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, and click the bell to get notified. Let's get into it. The first thing we're gonna go over is repeated chords. For the majority of this tutorial, we're gonna be working with a C major chord, and I'm gonna show you different ways to break it down. So as far as the repeating chord, I'm just gonna play this very quickly. All that is when a chord hits multiple times before it goes into another progression. And of course, when a chord hits, all the notes strike at the same time. So I'm going to show you a quick, easy way to do that. And we're working in the C major scale. We have a whole chord right here. All you have to do is get the slice tool like I just did, hold shift, and in certain spots where you want it to strike again, just go straight up, like boom. That's one of the hot spots for drums. Let's listen to that. So it can create a rhythm. You can even a little richer this. You could do something like this. Highlight that, hold shift, drag it down, select this again, hold shift, drag it down. Control C, Control V. As far as repeating chords, that's one way to go about having the chords under the melody and things like that. But what about if we want to do something that is more melodic? The second part is an arpeggio. I'm sure you know what arpeggios are, but just to go over it right now, an arpeggio is when you have a sequence of notes and it goes in order either up or down. So the sequence of notes that we have right here is a chord, of course. So C major chord still, it's going to go up and then it's going to go down. Let's listen to it. That's an arpeggio. Now it can repeat, it can do all types of stuff, and it can go at different speeds. But the main thing with an arpeggio is that the notes go in a sequence in order, either up or down. Another thing that we'll go over arpeggio wise is the arpeggio feature in FL Studio. So you want to go to the wrench and you want to go to arpeggiate when you have a chord. It's still the same C major chord. Let's click it and you can control the range. So that's 1 octave. You can make it 2 octaves. You can control the time. That'll let you do some little Uzi type stuff or whatever. You can flip it. You can alternate it. You can even control the length of the notes with gate. So that's a really great feature. Now, as far as doing an arpeggio, you don't have to follow a steady rhythm. You can create whatever rhythm you want. You see, it didn't repeat the same rhythm in what I just played. Let's play it one more time. You see, it didn't repeat the same rhythm over both of those. The second part has a different rhythm than the first part. So that's a few ways to go about arpeggios. So another thing that you can do is delayed notes. So we have a chord right here, same chord we've been working with. What you can do is drag one of these notes back. Boom. So you could do that, or you can do that with the top note, which is the 5th. Very simple. We're going to bring this all together in the last examples. So let's talk about passing notes. Passing notes are basically notes that are played after the chord is hit but they're not a part of the chord necessarily, and they're mainly to get you somewhere else until you get to the next chord. With that, when we look at this chord, we already know, because we've been working with the same chord, C, E, and G are a C major chord. Those are the body of the chord. So right here we have a D in there, we have an F, we have a D. Again, let's listen to how this sounds. And again, these are hitting after the whole chord strikes. So let's listen to it. And if you notice, we're staying in bounds within the chord. So we don't really go below the root or anything like that, because the root is the foundation. And in my opinion, you don't want to do that unless you're trying to move in a different direction and it sounds good, or until you're going to the next chord. But another thing you can do, this is not necessarily a passing note, but you can pull this back as a delayed note, which is a fifth, the top note on a 3-note chord, a triad. And you could put a note right there, treat it like a passing note. Let's go. That'll bring it back to the harmony that it's supposed to have, but this will briefly take it somewhere else. So that's another thing that you can do. So now that we went over all of those tools, let's break this down very quickly as far as what we have right here. I got a chord progression. Let's take a look at it and listen very quickly. I'm going to break this down because everything that we've went over, I implemented in this chord progression. So with that, right here, you have the repeating chord. It repeats, but then it goes into a delayed note right there. All the purple notes represent passing notes. So you go into a passing note until you get to the next chord. Then we do an arpeggio up, 2 passing notes. And again, notice the passing notes all over here are within the chord. So then we do the same thing again, repeat chord, and then put the third in there as far as a delayed note. And you also see the passing note at B. Then you have an arpeggio up, and then we end it with the passing note up above the chord. That's the only one that's above the chord, but even then, if you look, it's 1 note in the scale above the top note in the chord. So let's listen to that one more time. Very passive. It's a passive melody that we've made out of chords. It holds a harmony. Now, when you're able to do something like that, makes it easy to just throw a top melody right over that. So all of the blue is a top melody. Let's listen to it. It gets that simple. It gets that simple. It doesn't get more basic than that. So now with those tools, you can take a chord progression and form it into something melodic that'll give you the foundation of your melody, or you can even just take the chords and make a melody out of it. I hope you got a lot of value from that. Be sure to, again, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about the tutorial. Let me know what you want to see next. Counter melodies will be next, of course, and that's going to be the last for the melody basics. From what I know, at least, I may do something on sound selection. Not too sure on that yet. But leave a comment. If you didn't like and subscribe already, be sure to do that. But other than that, I'll see y'all another day, somehow, some way. I'm out.